the New York Press News Agency. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is called Robert J. O'Neill. He is a former United States Navy SEAL. He's a TV news contributor. He's a fantastic author and a New York Times best-selling author. He's also started his new podcast on social media, and he also is the man behind who killed Osama bin Laden. Mr. O'Neill, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Kiran. Thank you for having me today. This is cool. I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Rob, straight into it. So I want to kind of I want to kind of just start off slowly. How's everything with you? You've started off, I know from a Navy SEAL point of view, and now going into podcast, and then podcast went into New York Times best-selling author. How's the podcast going so far? Because I see you going viral over YouTube.
The podcast is fun because it gives me an opportunity to just talk to people, to be a normal person. I call my podcast the Operator Podcast because as I consider everyone who does anything to make something better an operator. So I was an operator in Special Forces. I'm an operator now, running a couple LLCs, traveling, speaking. But anyone who's doing anything, the person who wakes up at 2:30 in the morning to take the trash out at New York City, that's an operator. The mom who runs a family is an operator. Anyone who runs a business is an operator. Anyone who does anything moving forward is an operator. So I'm able to talk operator to operator, and I give people my point of view. I'm not a professor. I'm not a scholar. I just give my input on anything. I put it out there, and then I take input. I read all most of the comments, and then just move from there. So it's fun. It's because I'm a big believer that in life, most people are normal. Most of us, regardless of left or right, we all just kind of want to get on with our lives, raise a family, take care of your people. And then, everything from hunting to politics, to elections, to fishing. So it's fun. I'm having a really good time. I'm fortunate because I travel so much. I talk to a few thousand people a week. And I don't believe in polls. I get the pulse of what people are thinking. And long story short, most people are good.
Fantastic. And do you like traveling, Rob?
No.
Right.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. I love traveling. I love meeting people. I hate the airports. But the good thing about it is when I am in airports every day, so I get to see people in their natural environment, which is moving around. So I don't like that part, but I love seeing people and going places.
Now, also tell me about your books, because obviously, you've written, becoming a New York Times best-selling author, it's not an easy thing. It's a very difficult thing to become an author and also get published. Even writing a book, I think, is, relatively hard because you've got to take time, you've got to get it right, you've got to make sure you get the right content, etc. So writing is a very hard. To get it published and then become recognized internationally is 10 times harder. Tell me about your books and what were your books that you're writing after and also before?
My first book is called The Operator, and it's a memoir of a white guy from Montana who couldn't swim that became a Navy SEAL, and just proof that wherever you are, just be there, and stuff will happen. Be in the moment. And it's a memoir. It's the only book written by someone on the ground at Osama bin Laden's house, approved by the Pentagon, by the Department of Defense, by the three-letter agencies. So I wrote a story about where I came from, Butte, Montana, to the end of that mission. My next book was called The Way Forward, which I wrote with a Medal of Honor recipient, which is the highest award you can get in the military, Dakota Meyer. And he's a guy from Kentucky. I'm a guy from Montana. But we finished with the military. Now what? What do we do next? And everyone has something else to do. And as long as you look forward and long-term goals, turn them into short-term goals, everyone can do everything. So it's called The Way Forward. What do we do now? And that's it. And it boils down to mastering the basics, getting good at the easy stuff, never lose your sense of humor, and take care of your people. And now what? And that's so 2 books I've written that a lot of fun. I enjoy writing. I enjoy talking, and life is.
No, you seem like you got great energy, Rob. You seem like you got fantastic energy. My other question to you, Rob, now is, you have accomplished something that billions of people could only dream of. But not just dream of. I wouldn't actually know what I'm going to rephrase that. Not dream of. I would say something that people will be scared of, knowing that, yes, at one side, in a career aspect, it's excellent. It's on your CV for life. It's going to be there. It's going to be on your name. You're the only man who had that opportunity into how do I say this, vanishing that terrorist. You know, we had it for years, we had it for numerous years, the whole world was scared. What you did was a very heroic thing. How does it feel knowing you're the only man in the world who can actually say that you killed Osama bin Laden?
It's surreal, and it's almost to the point now that I know the story. I can close my eyes and see it at any moment. But it wasn't me. I didn't just join the Navy and go to bin Laden's house. We did so much stuff before that, and there are so many people who don't get the credit for what they did. The pilots that flew us in, the other team members, the woman that found Osama bin Laden, that spent her entire life, no family, no kids, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day to find him. There's so many cogs in the machine. The only way I can describe it is it was an honor to be a part of that team. Just because on September 11th, 2001, it wasn't just New York that was attacked. It wasn't just the United States that was attacked. There was, I want to say, my numbers might be off, but I want to say 80 plus countries. People from 80 plus countries died in the Twin Towers on that day. We didn't fight for the United States. We were fighting for our way of life. And the realization there are people out there that it doesn't matter what you do behind closed doors. It doesn't matter anything you identify with. They were attacking us because we didn't agree with what they want. And to be a part of a team, again, the right guy at the right place at the right time, the greatest honor of my life.
How did that make you feel, Rob, that, looking at the Twin Towers, looking, people dropping to their death, and I know you said in a documentary or a news end, you said the world has now changed. That's it. The world has changed. That's it. The minute they came down, the minute the airplanes went in, the world has changed. How did that make you feel when you saw that on national television?
Well, that was why we fought. The guy that actually led me up the stairs into bin Laden's bedroom, I wasn't the first guy up the stairs. I was the second guy. And he actually came to me before the mission and said, we knew it was a one-way mission. We weren't coming home. And he said, don't take this the wrong way. I'm going, 100% I'm going. I just need to say it out loud. If we know we're going to die, why are we going? And we talked about that, and we decided that we're not going for the fame. We're not going for the reward. We're going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday, and then 45 minutes later, she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper, because that was a better alternative than whatever's going on inside that we'll never know at 2,500 degrees. She looked down from windows on the world, made a choice, and her last gesture of human decency was holding her skirt down as she killed herself. And my friends and I looked at each other and we said, she was never supposed to be in the fight. We're supposed to be in the fight. And that's why we're going. So just to be able to fight for people who shouldn't have fought, who were never supposed to be in the fight, that was the feeling going in.
Fantastic. Can you also tell me, Rob, because I don't know if any interview or any journalist has kind of brought you up to that specific day, but in very small bullet points, in a fast thing, obviously you can't tell me what happened a year before because it will be very long to explain, but just month by month and to that day, how did you get yourself mentally prepared? How did you know he was there? What was he like as a person what was he like when he was standing? Was he frail? Was he malnutritioned, etc.? What was the whole situation, able to find him as well? The location, the people that you network with. How did you manage to get Osama bin Laden?
Well, they picked this team of 23 guys because we at the time of availability, we were the most experienced ones to go. So this wasn't our first mission. We'd been doing it for a long time. Politics aside, why we went to war, whatever, we were just there and we knew what we were doing. We were very, very good at it. And when they told us the reason you're here is as close as we've ever been to Osama bin Laden, we didn't high five. We didn't cheer. All we asked was, cool, are we going now? Because we were ready. So it was just another mission, just a longer flight in a first world country. It wasn't scary. We accepted death, but that's why we're here. And then when I saw him, there's humanity in war. Most people are, even in a war zone, most people are just trying to get on with their lives. And I've seen it up front. When I saw him, he was taller than I thought. He was skinnier than I thought. His beard was gray. He's not surrendering. He's a threat. I got to shoot him, because I assumed he had a suicide vest on. But after I killed him, He had his hands on Amal bin Laden's shoulders, his wife, and he was sort of pushing her toward me. That's why I killed him, because I thought they were going to blow up. But after I shot him and I moved her, his son was there. His 2-year-old son was standing there. And as a father, I looked down and I thought, this kid has nothing to do with this. And almost a moment of, what are we doing? And it's been that way in combat before, where I've been in fights before, in gunfights, where I've killed people. But after the fact, I thought, well, why did I kill him? Well, he grabbed a gun. Why did he grab a gun? Well, because I was in his bedroom. And then almost the afterthought of, would I have liked this guy? Does he know a joke? What if I met him in a cafe in Paris? Would he have told me something funny?
Did you feel bad? Did you feel guilty? Is that what you're trying to...
Not guilty, but just the realization that these are just people trying to protect themselves. And I don't believe in, I mean, yes, we are the good guys, I think, but they think they're the good guys. And they really believe in this stuff, and we all do. And it's the older I get, the further I get away from combat. I kind of wonder, what are we all doing? Because again, most people are good, and it doesn't need to come to this. So there's so many thoughts that come along with this. And at the time, a 32-year-old Navy SEAL who wants to fight anybody, fine. But now, as a 46-year-old man, I'm not questioning what we did. I don't have guilt. I don't believe in guilt, but I do believe in learning from something and trying to avoid it in the future. If it's a mistake, you learn from mistakes. You don't learn from winning. You don't learn from talking. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Sure. No, fair enough. And also, Rob, tell me about the aftermath. So let's say, for instance, hypothetically, psychology, let's say, for instance, that, not talking about the aftermath when it came to Osama bin Laden, but I'm talking about you returning back to America. What was the conversations like, maybe with the presidential people, maybe with the ministerial people, let's say the government, let's say the family, royal family? What praise did you get after, when you came back to America?
It wasn't praise, and I don't deserve praise. The team deserves praise. The women that found him, it was a team of women that found him. It was like I said, the pilots that flew us in, they deserve the credit for doing what we do. But it was almost so my nickname, we all have nicknames, and you can never give yourself a nickname. Someone else gives it to you. And if you don't like it, don't ever tell them you don't like it, because it'll stick. But my nickname was Nizro, NSRO, and it stood for Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill, because it rhymes. So people would call me Nizro. And the most common question that was asked, even in bin Laden's house, people on the first and second floor that weren't on the third floor, they said, who got him? Because they wanted to know. And the most common answer was, they said Nizro. And then I guess guys were saying, oh, great, we're never going to hear the end of this.
And also, you have, how do I say this? You've done fantastic when it comes to be a Navy SEAL, and now now doing very well, actually, becoming an author, getting into podcasts, etc. Is that a different change for you? How do you learn to adapt, knowing that you were on the front line, killing the world's biggest terrorists, and then now becoming a podcast and someone that is very friendly on social media, very friendly to the camera? How have you weighed that up, and has that been a new adjustment for you?
It hasn't been an adjustment, because I'm a big believer that if you want to be successful with your team, just be nice. And I'll give speeches in public, and I'll see people taking notes, and I will tell them, the first thing you want to write down, the first rule for success is, nobody wants to work for a dick.
Absolutely.
So be nice. Make sure if your people want to be there, they will work harder. And I had bosses, I learned this the hard way, that nobody ever worked for me, they work with me. And if we don't care who gets the credit, success takes care of itself. So just be good. There's nothing wrong with saying please and thank you occasionally for a normal job. Just to let people, I tell people now, because we were talking about travel, I go through security almost every single day. But what I've learned, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, the realization that the person with whom you're speaking is going through something themselves. They're dealing with stuff. So if you start the conversation with something nice, start it with a smile and a genuine compliment about how they're nice. I like your shoes. You're going to get through quicker, because you're being genuine, you're being nice, and people want to be nice. Be good to each other, and you can have a successful team.
That's very refreshing. That's very refreshing from you. My other question now is, what's your opinion about Afghanistan? Now, before I'm going to get you to answer that, I put myself on the line. I wouldn't say put myself on the line, Rob, but I was part of the, how do I say this? So I was part of the peace negotiations between the Taliban, where I had to interview. This was my little claim, not claim to fame. I wouldn't say that claim to fame. It's not something to be famous for.
Yeah, but I get it.
But it's something proud knowing that it was okay. It was over Zoom. Yes, I got the exclusive interview with Sahel Shaheen. He was the Taliban spokesperson
I know,
leader.
yeah.
Yeah, right at the top. The right at the top when it came to Taliban taking over, etc., etc. What's your opinion about Afghanistan today, about the Taliban? Because people say that it's good that if I go to my local gym, a couple of Afghanistan people say, no, we're very happy Afghanistan. Taliban, they're nice. This and that. I know that's a load of rubbish. I know that's a lie.
It's not true.
What's your opinion?
The Taliban, they're not good people. They don't run it. They don't run it in a good way. The people are scared. They run through fear. They believe what they believe, and they're going to enforce what they believe in a very, very harsh way. Some of the most generous and welcoming people I've ever met have been Afghans who live on the Konar River. And they don't deserve it. They're good people, again, just trying to get on with their lives. And I mean, Afghanistan doesn't have a choice. Like I think the last time they had a choice, they were neutral in World War II. Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. And I think they were trying to see a future. And then the Russians invaded, we invaded, and Afghanistan is just known as a place for war. That's where empires go to die, though. You're fighting a people that love their valleys, love their mountains, love their countries. And honestly, the withdrawal, I disagree with the way we did it. I also disagree with how long we were there. But if we just left what we left, and it's it's an entire other interview, they just want to be left alone. I don't think we personally are going to hear from the Taliban again, but the people living there, I feel so bad for the young women, the young girls who don't get a chance because of their ideology. That it's not only when people hear, yeah, they don't get an education. That's not just it. They sit in their houses, in the corner with other girls. They don't get to talk to other people. And it's a shame because we found out in our, while we were there, and it doesn't matter what your intentions are. If you're in a country for a long time as a foreigner, you're an occupier. But we were able to see a lot of these women that became lawyers, who became judges, a lot of these people who became military people. And there's so much brilliance, so much possibility that we might never see because the Taliban rules by an archaic, old, non-liberal way of living. And I think it's a shame. It makes me sad. I've met so many great people. I lived in Jalalabad City in 2005, and just to meet my neighbors, to meet the kids, and seeing the kids reminding me of my kids. It's my favorite saying is it's a large planet, but it's a small world.
Absolutely. Tell me also a story that you've had that you've never told any journalist before, any kind of what do you call it, news story, or kind of story that's important to you that you wanted to tell people today, maybe Afghanistan, maybe about the build up to Osama bin Laden, maybe about, you being a former a neill, a SEAL, etc. One of your experience that you've had that you've never told anybody before.
Now that's a tough one too, because I've been telling a lot of stories. I think one of my favorite stories, and I was asked about this yesterday, because people have this vision of Navy SEALs being these superhuman superheroes, but they're not. I remember seeing, we make mistakes, we screw up. I remember seeing there was a place near Jalalabad in 2005 that we went to. They didn't have indoor plumbing, so they have outdoor sewage. And I remember one of my guys tripped and fell into it. And I looked down and I felt horrible because he didn't, he just fell into it. It's bad. And he just looked up at me again and goes, "Yep, elite Navy SEALs."
Lovely.
But we're all human. Everyone's
absolutely.
We all come from somewhere. We all have somewhere to go. And I wish people would have this, as opposed to staring at their phone and hating each other based on ideologies, the realization that people are good and we can, regardless of elections, we can do this. We can pull this off. I have faith in humanity, basically.
And also, I'm going to ask you something else. And I don't know. Now, recently, I've become a fundraising officer for the Twickenham Labour Party. So I'm always looking into politics, and I'm always seeing if there's something that could be improved, that not could be improved. Now, Donald Trump, for instance, people like him, people don't like him, people like Putin. Everybody has their own opinion about a world leader. Everyone has their own opinion about a prime minister. We had a prime minister recently called Rishi Sunak, who became the first Hindu prime minister in the whole of England. Congratulations. We have a mayor that is a Muslim, who's Sadiq Khan, for instance. Now going into Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a very fierce personality. He's a controversy, but at the same time, people like him, people don't like him. What's your opinion about Donald Trump?
I like a lot of his policies. I like to be. I really think that Donald Trump is somebody who believes in renewable energy, but we don't have it right now. So we need to keep drilling. The United States has the cleanest oil, the cleanest that we can, and then that helps all of our allies and stuff. The way that you present it, though, it's very obvious that Donald Trump is not a politician, and he pisses people off. And it's even right now. Is he going to run? Is he going to announce? I'm to the point now where, like, well, let's just watch the ride. But I think he had it right as far as I really do. I know Donald Trump, and I think he has people's best interest in mind. He just doesn't say it the right way.
But do you think they're confused from him sometimes because he's a very large character. Just personality wise, he's a very large character. And I think maybe, the Biden situation right now, even though what he did with the Capitol riots and so, fair enough with what Donald Trump did. But actually, I think, in my personal opinion, he's good as a president. I just think there's things that he needs to tweak. Am I correct to say that?
I could not agree more. And there's certain ways to say certain things. But again, he's not a politician. And as far as the United States, whoever's in the White House is a guest. They're not a permanent resident. And I really don't believe that the person in the White House for 4 years or 8 years is the problem. It's the person who's in the Capitol for 50 years that's a problem.
Right. And your also opinion about diversity. What's your opinion? Because the situation. I want to kind of go into more because, you're a man who has, you've traveled the world, you've experienced a lot of things. The George Floyd situation. Let's just go back into the George Floyd, with that police officer, just say hypothetically, when you saw that situation, I interviewed Martin Luther King's daughter a couple of months ago, and I asked her about the George Floyd thing. And I said, this is something that would be, that is really disturbing. Someone that has put your life on the line, and then knowing that's in America, how did you feel when you see these things?
Now, my initial reaction was I was horrified. And but also I wasn't there. And as someone who's been places where historical events have happened, if you're not there, you need to make sure you get your facts straight. If what happened, worst thing I've ever seen. And I despise people that take advantage of their power. And it disturbed me. I knew something bad was coming, and I don't ever want anyone especially someone who's in a position that George Floyd was it's horrible.
Absolutely.
But I also don't want people to spin it for their political views. I really want the truth to come out. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth, master the basics, and listen. Sure. So if what happened, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It was very.
Do you think it will change, in your opinion? Because you've seen a lot from the world. Do you think? I'm not saying I'm not oblivious to racism. Racism will always be there. But do you think after the George Floyd situation, things will improve or not really?
Improve? I don't know. I hope so. I think it's going to be one of those things where we learn the hard way. Yeah, it's everything from how much diesel fuel costs right now, how much to heat your home costs. It's going to suck because people are voting now on ideology, and you're going to have to learn the hard way. And the only way that someone learns the hard way is by learning. And I hope we do. And like I said, I didn't know George Floyd. I don't know his family, and I wasn't there, but I still believe in the good. I hope we can. Again, I think the media gets in a spot where they just spin everything up to something that might not be. I think we can change. And like I said, the worst people I meet are on Twitter. Sure. When I meet people in person, most people are good. And then we don't even talk about ideologies. We talk, people. I think people are good. I seriously have faith in people.
Good. And my other question is, because we've got about 10 minutes to go until this so I don't want to take your time too much. What does Rob do when he's not working? What do you like to do? When you're not working, when you're not on social media, when you're not doing podcasts, what do you like to do when you're just sit at home with the family, etc.? What do you like to do?
Well, I like to read, and I love the feeling of a book. I love audiobooks. When you're working or whatever around the house, you can listen, but I love the feel of a book just to read. And I'm one of those guys that sits there with a highlighter, and I love to highlight people's ideas because it's the same with a joke. the joke to me, obviously the irony of the punchline is funny, but I love the fact that someone thought of this. So I love to highlight stuff, and maybe I'll never go back and see it, but just the thought that someone sat around thinking about this, or talking about an experience they had in life. And I love to hear about that. And then my other thing, believe it or not, is when I'm not at home, my favorite hobby is swimming with apex predators in the ocean. I love to swim with sharks,
Right.
just to see them in their environment. I think that Jaws gave us a bad rap. If we were on the menu, there'd be people dying every day. Sharks are just curious and they're cool and they have personality. So in between, you know, a margarita here or there, diving in with the sharks, you can also read a book on the beach. So that's my perfect day, is sit on the beach. I need an umbrella because I don't, you know, Montana. I'm a very, very pale white Montana kid, but sit there, read a book, get in the ocean, have a drink, go to happy hour, enjoy yourself. And I always tell people, enjoy yourself, because at the end of the day, none of us are getting out of this alive.
Sure. Absolutely. No, fair enough. And also, do you get tired, Rob, when people talk to you, right, knowing that you killed Osama bin Laden, you've done excellent, you've won numerous awards, et cetera, in the Navy SEAL. Do you get tired that when you have these conversations, people always intrigued to go, oh, look, there's Rob O'Neill. He's the man that, he's the man who saved America. He's the man that, do you, I mean, not even save America, but he's the man that had the balls and did that. Do you get tired talking about the same thing?
I don't get tired of it, because if someone asks me, it means they're interested in me, which is humbling. To know that someone wants to hear it. What I get annoyed with is when people say something on social media like, "Oh, I'm Rob O'Neill, and I haven't mentioned bin Laden in 3 minutes." It's like, look, I'll stop mentioning it if you stop asking me.
Yeah,
because there's so much more. If you listen to the Operator podcast, there's so much more to the story.
Tell about your podcast. Tell about your podcast, Rob. What's your message from your podcast that you want to kind of give out to people? What's your message you would like to give?
The normality of life, that we're trying to pay the bills, trying to raise the kids, and we're trying to do good for each other. So that's all it is. And what I do with my podcast is I'll write down maybe 10 subjects, and I'll start the camera, and I'll start talking, and I'll do an hour on one subject, because I'll go off on tangents. Everything from normal day. I was talking the other day about so episode 14 is called "A Kill is a Kill." And people will think, because I was a sniper or a Navy SEAL, that I was talking about a big bug that I killed in my house. That right before I recorded, because this bug came in the house, it was a bit, I'm going to talk it up like this huge, nasty bug. And my wife said, it's your job, you got to kill it. So I didn't have any bug spray. So I got a flashlight, a handheld vacuum, and a towel. And I was walking towards this bug, and she goes, "What are you doing with that?" And I said, "Honey, sometimes justice needs to be served, and you don't know how it happened." So it's like normal guy stuff. Like the guy that killed bin Laden might be afraid of a cockroach.
Absolutely. And do you also get the feeling that people, when they do see you, Rob, because you know what it is, they say personality is everything, but behind the personality, because I've seen people on social media, and people see when they, when your videos go viral, still you talking about Osama bin Laden, et cetera, there have been clips on YouTube, sometimes like 20-second clips, and people in the comments, and I read them, and they go, "I can't believe someone with a friendly face actually is the one who actually killed." So is that you are a friendly person, but at the same time, you're also a person that you want to mess with. Is that?
I can be serious when I need to be. And I took my job very seriously, and I know how to do it well. And I'm a big believer, if you're going to do anything, be good at it. So we were good at that. If the 46-year-old Rob O'Neill could talk to the 32-year-old Rob O'Neill and give him the mindset, that's fine. But I think it all comes back to that personalities. How you're one of I always tell people, or ask them, or tell ask me anything, and a common answer is, well, what would you tell 15-year-old Rob O'Neill right now if you could go back in time in one sentence? And this is obviously just from a young boy, but my advice is, ask her out. That's advice in life. Take the shot. Right. Just I hear people always say, well, why is that ugly guy with that hot girl? And it's like, well, because he asked.
Absolutely.
So and in life, whatever it is right now, take the shot.
Sure. And also, last couple of questions, and I'm going to let you continue your evening. Your opinion about social media. Social media, if you go on TikTok, right, everybody wants to be famous. Everybody, every single person on Monster is called clout. Everyone is looking for clout. Everyone's looking for followers. The generation now these days, I don't know when it was in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s, it was a bit different. Life was a bit more hustling. You have to push. You want to go to, you live in New York, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, there was no such thing as internet where you put it on. So you have to go to the record labels. You have to give them your CV, etc. You have to be there. Now it's very easy. You just put a video on social media and anybody can become famous. What's your opinion about social? And do you think maybe social media has made not people lazy, but a bit of an easy thing to say, well, if I want to become rich, I can easily make it on YouTube?
Well, I think people are losing their people skills. I've seen young men and women on dates sitting next to each other, but they're texting. They're not talking.
Same here.
And I don't think that people realize it's not like I don't take it personal. And I actually read a lot of comments because I want to hear what people say, but they say mean stuff. But I also have a thick skin, the realization they're not yelling at me. They're yelling at someone they see through their phone at an idea that I had. And everyone that I've met in person, that I've seen people apologize. Like, yeah, we sparred on Twitter. I'm like, okay, cool. I hope I'm friendlier in person. Nothing personal. But I think it's taken a little bit of the humanity out of a lot of life. And I don't think it's real. Social media is not real. And again, I think people are good.
And my last question, your career. What's the next project for you? What do you want to do in the next 5 years? What are you planning to release? Any kind of new books, documentaries, et cetera, et cetera? What are you planning to do?
Yeah, I just want to do the podcast. I want to be able to go to the studio, hopefully 2 times a week, talk for an hour and a half at a time, give my views on anything at all, everything from football to like I said, hunting or fishing, and hear feedback, and then enjoy my time with my wife. Maybe get to an island and just that's it. I've done the traveling. I've been to, I think, 70 countries. I've seen a lot. I'll still do it, but wake up in the morning, have a good cup of coffee, and
simplicity in life. Simplicity is the
master the basics. I can't say that enough. When people ask us why SEAL Team 6 was so good, I was like, we were really good at doing the easy stuff. How did you clear a house as big as bin Laden's? Simple. The guy in front of me went left, I went right. Keep doing that in life, you'll be just fine.
I'm going to ask you before you go, we've got 5 minutes left. Now, there's a YouTube guy, not YouTube. There is a guy sitting on YouTube. There's 3 geezers in a YouTube. I forgot his name. I'll find his name in a second. And he's the one who kept saying, well, that's debatable. That's debatable. I don't think, Rob, do you I'm not saying, I mean, obviously, you're now certified as the man that killed Osama bin Laden, but there's always someone that wants to try and get in the front. Is that what that man is saying? I think you've seen it, there's 3 geezers all talking together.
Yeah.
Is that just a load of horse crap? Is he just saying that on purpose, or is he just trying to?
Like we said about TikTok, he's looking for likes. He's trying to get likes. And even now, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think the government always tells us the truth. Right. So I've had people say, well, you shot a body double. And my answer is, look, I shot a guy that was in bed with Osama bin Laden's wife. So either way, he had it coming. I don't know. Yeah.
So basically basically, in other words, this man wants to take your recognition. That's what he's trying to say, basically.
Yeah, fine. I don't care. I don't block people, but I love to mute them because I know out in cyberspace, they're yelling alone. Right. Enjoy yourself. That's fine. Don't waste your time. If you're worried about something that you're worried won't affect, stop wasting your energy.
Rob and Neill, I want to say thank you so much. And it was such an honor for me to talk to you today. I've been following your work for years. I never told you, but as a journalist, I want to say thank you so much. I told my mother and father I'll be talking to you today, and they said, Kiran, be careful what you say. But
my father said the same thing, so I appreciate that. That's fun. We can do this anytime. You know how to get in touch with me anytime you want to talk about. Like I said, as an operator to an operator, anything you want to talk about, I'm your guy.
Well, we're happy. Thank you so much once again, and good luck with your career, your podcast, being a fantastic author, continuing your career in the entertainment industry. And good luck with everything, and best of luck with you and your family.
Thanks, Kiran. I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Let me just pause this. 1 second.